For weeks, Caitlin Clark endured hit after hit on the court while the WNBA remained silent. Fans were furious. Analysts danced around the issue. And then, the silence broke not from the league, but from some of the biggest names in basketball. This wasn't polished PR or subtle social media nods. This was raw, unfiltered support from the NBA's elite. Steph Curry, LeBron James, Luka Doncic. They didn't just praise Caitlin's game, they called out what was happening in plain sight. The physical targeting, the lack of response, the blatant disrespect. Steph, in particular, had seen enough. He watched the cheap shots. He heard the silence. And when he finally spoke, his words echoed throughout the basketball world. When a superstar like Curry says Caitlin Clark isn't just being challenged, she's being treated like a target, you pay attention, one analyst noted. And Curry wasn't alone. At least 6 NBA All-Stars went on record declaring the same thing. Caitlin Clark isn't a one-season wonder. She's a legitimate star being unfairly targeted, and it has to stop. The message was loud, clear, and impossible to ignore. Caitlin Clark deserves protection, respect, and a league that stands behind its brightest stars. So what exactly did they say? These are the unfiltered, word-for-word reactions from some of the NBA's most respected voices. And yes, a few of their comments might catch you off guard. Normally, when NBA players give praise, it stays within their circle, fellow teammates, rivals, or the legends who paved the way. But this time, things were different when Pascal Siakam, an NBA champion and one of the smoothest away players in the league, was asked a simple question about which player gets the most love. The room expected a safe, typical answer, but Pascal didn't take the easy route. Completely unprompted, he brought up Caitlin Clark, not as a throwaway mention, not as a quick nod, but as a legitimate comparison to NBA-level star power. According to Pascal, Caitlin Clark receives and earns more love and attention than most players in his own league. It was a moment that said everything. Caitlin's reach has officially crossed over. She's no longer just dominating women's basketball. She's getting real, vocal respect from the NBA's top-tier talent.
Oh man, Caitlin she's a beast, man. Like, and they love her. So I'll probably say Caitlin Clark. I love Tyrese, but she's another level in terms of just the love that she has.
Let that sink in for a moment. Pascal Siakam wasn't comparing Caitlin Clark to other WNBA players. He was comparing her to Tyrese Haliburton, his NBA teammate, one of the most dynamic point guards in the league today. And yet, Pascal said Caitlin Clark is the one getting the most love. That's not just admiration. That's recognition. That's respect. And more than anything, it's a reality check for anyone still pretending the WNBA lives in a separate world from the NBA. You know, someone's impact is undeniable when NBA conversations start featuring her name without hesitation. Siakam could have name-dropped any NBA All-Star, any legend, any rising star. Instead, he said Caitlin Clark. That's not just a mention. That's a shift. It means Caitlin has shattered the invisible wall between leagues, and players like Pascal are not only noticing it, they're embracing it. He didn't have to say it, but he did. And that says more than any highlight reel ever could. And that right there says it all. You don't expect headline quotes from Obi Toppin. He's not the guy known for dramatic interviews or mic-drop moments. But that's exactly why his comment about Caitlin Clark stood out. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't polished. It was real. And in today's media landscape, authenticity hits harder than any par-approved soundbite. Toppin, known for his high-flying game and swagger on the court, dropped all that flash when talking about Clark. His voice carried something different, genuine admiration, not just for her talent, but for what she represents, for the way she's changing the game. It wasn't just respect, it was acknowledgement. The kind you give when you realize someone isn't just racking up stats, they're shifting the culture.
Yeah, Caitlin's amazing. Super amazing. She's a great player. Having her be courtside and watching our games is awesome. We see the excitement that she has on the sides, but just like she's doing that, we do the same. Like when they're playing, like it's so much. It's a joy to watch.
What stands out isn't the wording, it's the respect behind it. When OBC talks about Caitlin Clark, it's not as a celebrity guest or token mention. It's as an equal, not an afterthought, not a sideshow, but a real hooper, just like the guys in the NBA. That kind of parity, it's rare and it matters. There's something powerful about seeing Caitlin Clark courtside and knowing the NBA players aren't just acknowledging her presence, they're genuinely invested. This isn't a photo op. It's basketball respect. And that connection doesn't need to go viral to be meaningful. It's not about headlines. It's about recognition. Because when NBA players talk about you like you're part of their world, you've already crossed into it. And then there's Tyrese Haliburton. It would have been easy to offer a standard soundbite. She's great. I respect her game. But he didn't take the easy route. Tyrese didn't speak from distance. He spoke from proximity, from being in the same city, from sharing a spotlight, from seeing firsthand the pressure Caitlyn walks through every single day, and how she never flinches. He didn't hype her up because he had to. He did it because he knows, because he's watched, because in a league where you earn your name, Caitlyn Clark has already earned hers.
She's, I think for me, getting to actually spend time around her, be around her, get to know her personally, she's just an amazing person, an amazing player. She deals with there's a lot of rhetoric behind her that she really has no control over, and I think that the way she handles that is just amazing. Like, I think when it comes to the game of basketball, like, she's probably top 5 most famous people that are playing right now, just in general. That includes our league as well.
Top 5 most famous period. That's not a fan tweet. That's Tyrese Haliburton, an NBA All-Star, putting Caitlyn Clark in the same conversation as LeBron, Steph, and Jokic. And he didn't say it to go viral, he said it because it's true. He sees the numbers, the sold-out arenas, the millions watching, the media frenzy that doesn't stop. As someone who knows what it's like to carry the weight of a franchise, Tyrese also knows Caitlyn's carrying even more, and she's only in her 2nd year. But the most powerful part of his words, the empathy. Tyrese wasn't just standing up for Clark as a player, he was standing up for her as a human being. He sees the hate, the pressure, the unfair expectations, and he's not staying silent. He's saying what so many are afraid to. She doesn't deserve the backlash, but she's handling it like a pro. And then there's LeBron James. When LeBron speaks, the entire sports world doesn't just listen, it recalibrates. Every word becomes a headline. Every sentence sets a tone. So when he spoke up about Caitlyn Clark, it wasn't small talk, it was a statement. A full-throated endorsement from the face of basketball for the last 20 years. And more than that, it was a message that cut through all the noise and hit at the heart of this cultural moment. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about how we treat greatness when it doesn't fit the mold. It's about who we choose to support and why. And LeBron made his choice clear.
Because everybody is looking for you to say anything, and they're gonna splice it and cut it and make it a negative thing. And I think for her, the one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. I saw for the first time that they had a chartered plane for the first time in their league history. They flew private. That should be celebrated in his own right.
This wasn't just LeBron James defending Caitlyn Clark, it was LeBron defending progress itself. He's watched from a distance as she carried more than just a team. She carried a cultural shift. The headlines, the noise, the pressure of being the reason an entire league starts flying private. That's not just breaking records, that's rewriting the rule book. That's legacy. And if anyone understands what it's like to be the reason everything changes, it's LeBron. The expectations, the criticism, the target on your back, he's lived it all. Maybe that's why, in Caitlyn, he sees a reflection of the path he once walked. She didn't just gain his approval, she earned his respect. And in LeBron's world, that's a different level of praise entirely. Then there's Trae Young, one of the league's boldest sharpshooters. A player who thrives on deep threes and unshakable swagger. But when it comes to Caitlyn Clark, something in his tone changes. Still confident, still Trae, but there's admiration in the way he talks about her. Enough to suggest a three-point contest with one of the most hyped shooters in basketball right now, and not as a joke, but as a challenge built on mutual respect. This isn't just an elite scorer acknowledging another. This is a peer recognizing greatness in real time. And that's the story here. Caitlyn Clark didn't ask for this spotlight. She earned it, not just through stats, not just through game winners, but through grace under fire, humility in chaos, and confidence with purpose. She's not just changing women's basketball, she's redefining what greatness looks like, no matter the jersey.
You were hype about Steph and Sabrina. I know that you have spoken about Caitlyn Clark. You're a big Caitlyn Clark fan.
Oh, yeah.
She, of course, is an excellent shooter. Would you ever do like a Caitlin Trae 3-point contest at All-Star?
Of course I would. I've gotten to talk to her too throughout her college years. We're the only two people that ever led college in points and assists. That's a crazy stat. I'd have to definitely practice a lot more than I have for these previous 3-point competitions. Nah, I'd be ready for sure. I'd do it.
Let's start with the numbers. Only 2 players in NCAA history have ever led the nation in both points and assists in a single season. That's not a trivia stat. That's basketball royalty. And when Trae Young talks about Caitlin Clark, you can hear the respect. It's not fake praise. It's not performative. It's real recognition from one generational talent to another. Trae didn't act like he'd run away with the 3-point contest. He actually said he'd need to get his reps up. That's the ultimate compliment from one of the NBA's most confident shooters. Caitlin Clark isn't just part of the conversation anymore. She is the conversation, and Trae, he's not gatekeeping the spotlight. He's ready to share it, or better yet, go head-to-head. Then there's Paul George, a veteran, a tactician, a player who rarely speaks just to stir hype. When Paul talks, it's not for headlines, it's to add perspective. And when he spoke about Caitlin Clark, he didn't jump straight to applause. He didn't criticize either. He zoomed out, because while the public has been fixated on viral fouls, highlight reels, and record-breaking stats, Paul George focused on something deeper. He saw the moment for what it really is, not just about a player lighting up scoreboards, but about the weight she carries, the scrutiny, the expectations, the cultural tension she never asked for, but handles anyway. He didn't see a story built on flash. He saw a young athlete navigating a pressure cooker with maturity most veterans never reach.
You gotta put it in perspective, right? These girls have been grinding to grow the game of basketball in the WNBA. They've been grinding to grow the sport to the world, the viewerships. They've been grinding for all of this. And then you have this girl that comes along from college and is an instant change. She's handed pretty much being the face of the league. There's going to be girls that are offended by that.
This isn't about tearing Caitlin Clark down. It's about taking a hard look at what her rise really means. Paul George didn't deny her greatness. On the contrary, he doubled down on it, calling her an immediate game changer. But he also brought up something rarely said out loud: the quiet pain behind the spotlight. Veteran players, women who paved the way, didn't have sold-out arenas or national TV deals. They fought for basic rights like charter flights and played through the silence of half-empty gyms. Now, here comes Caitlin, skyrocketing to the top and becoming the face of the league before she's even finished her rookie season. It's no wonder that stirs up emotions, not because she hasn't earned it, but because others never got that same moment despite putting in the same grind. Paul George didn't justify the resentment, but he did put a human lens on it. And in doing so, he revealed just how layered this shift truly is. Caitlin isn't just a rising star, she's the epicenter of a movement that's forcing the entire league to look in the mirror. Then there's Luka Doncic, a man known for keeping it real on the court and at the mic. He doesn't dress up his words, and he doesn't play politics. So when asked about women's basketball, his response didn't come with a par-approved filter. It was short, honest, and powerful. With just a few words, Luka left a mark and added another voice to a conversation that's becoming impossible to ignore.